Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good afternoon to you, Miss Farah. Okay, so for today, our group will be presenting one topic, which is installing new pipeline. From this topic, we will share a lot of information that related to industrial hygiene hazard. My group consisted of 4 group members, including me, NOOR, BATRISYIA, IZZATI, BINTI, MUHAMAD, NASHRUN, Adam, Wafiq, AINON, AFIQAH, and lastly, HAIFAA. So without wasting much time, let's move on to the next slides. Okay, so I will be presenting about the company background that related in installing new pipelines. So I choose Enbridge Inc. company. It is because that they are related in oil and gas industry. Enbridge Inc., also known as the Canadian multinational energy transportation company. They are based in Calgary, Alberta, and was founded on 30 April 1949. Okay, so they will operate across North America, and they will focusing on the transport, supply, and the production of electricity. After that, Enbridge Inc. runs the longest crude oil and liquid hydrocarbon distribution route in 3 countries, which are North America, Canada, and also the United States. Okay, beside that, Enbridge Inc. owns and operates the largest natural gas distribution network in Canada, hence offers the distribution facilities in Ontario, Quebec, and New York. Okay, so the 3 core business that they tell us are the liquid pipelines, natural gas pipelines, and also utilities and power, as they are filling the economy and people's quality of life. And the founder of Enbridge is the Imperial Oil. Okay, next. Okay, so I will be presenting the objective that we highlight in this assignment. There are 3, which are first is we want to show the basic way of risk assessment plan that created by safety and health officer to the workers in the oil and gas industry, as the crew members must aware any type of hazard from happening to them while they are doing their job tasks. After that is we want to identify the hazard in the oil and gas industry, as we all know that in the oil and gas industry there are many hazard risks that can be harmful to them. After that is we want to help the workers provide safety methods for each job step in installing new pipelines. For example, we must provide a training program to them to become more and more competent in their work. So they will be doing the best in their work and become more safe. Okay, so now I will pass to my friend Adam.
Okay, Assalamualaikum and greeting to everyone, especially Ms. Farah and all students. Now I would like to explain about the detail of workplace assessment, which is we have focused on new pipeline installations. So the responsible officer, which is safety and health officer in one workplace, like new pipeline installation workplace, there is a few instruction and guideline which were given by the safety and health officer to the competent person, which is the worker who involved in new pipeline installation. The guideline and instruction is about the proper PPE or personal protective equipment that should be used by all competent person while working in new pipeline installation tasks. And this also refer to the method that given by the responsible officer, which is there is three method that used to the competence person while working in new pipeline installation task. Number one is drilling the pipeline. Number two is second method is SLE. SLE is defined as a single length of steel pipe that could be a joint for the pipeline were welded and need to be inspected and coded in the firing line. There was a SLE. The final one is a JLA. JLA is the method that used to install the regrid pipeline in the deep surface like in the sea. JLA used to use the same system like SLA but can dig more deep in sea. So I will pass to the next presenter to explain about new pipeline installation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Adam. Okay, so I will be presenting about the job step from installing new pipeline. So there are many job steps in installing new pipeline, and I choose first step, which are drilling and excavations, as they are very important part in installing new pipelines. Okay, so before we start every task, we need to briefing a little bit about the timeline, about the safety harness. Okay, so we need to briefing a little bit about that. Okay, so the first step in drilling and excavation is the construction workers themselves first need to clear the paths to the site, and also if it is needed, the bulldozer will be used for drilling to level the particular work site. And second, after that, this section also includes the removal of oil from the field, in which a hole is drilled by a drill bit to create a well for the construction of oil and natural gas. And after that, after defining and deciding where to dig around the work site, the site must be clear and prepared for excavation. So from the job step that I choose is we are doing on the site which are in field. Okay, so that's why we need to drilling and have excavation. So after that, they need to level and trench by using heavy machinery in it, as they are preparing the site. So the heavy machinery must be controlled by the competent persons to pull out the hazard and risk. Okay, and after that, throughout this preparation, they must be mindful of the pedestrian, buried pipelines, and the cables that may contain electrical, flammable, or harmful material, as they may become the hazard and danger to them and the environment, as it is the largest scale of the operation in installing new pipelines. So every job step, we need to careful and overthinking about it. Okay, after that, lastly, they need to transport machinery such as cranes, rig up trucks, and forklifts to assemble and ready the rig for drilling. So these are job step that I present it to you guys. So I will pass to the next presenter. Thank you.
All right, everyone. Refer to the job step of installing new pipeline task. There is 4 hazards that we identified in this task, which is number 1 is a physical hazard. Second one is a biological hazard. Number 3 is ergonomic hazard. And the final one is a chemical hazard. So the first one, we talk about the physical hazard. Physical hazard is an environment factor that cause harmful to the among competent person in the workplace. So the example of the physical hazard that we identified on the competent person while working for the new pipeline installation is the noise that came from the machinery. It can be a hazard to the competent person. The second one is vibration while handling the machine, and that come from the machinery like bulldozer and excavator that can give a harmful hazard on a competent person physical. The second one is a biological hazard. It was a high potential to affect the competent person with any type of infection. For example, the virus and bacteria that came from the insect and plant, and it can result a skin irritation, allergies, and infection at the workplace to the competent person and other person who is involved in new pipeline installation task. The next hazard is ergonomic hazard. We can, as we know, the ergonomic hazard as a result of the physical factor that resulting the musculoskeletal injuries to the competent person. For example, is poor body posture. This is a common problem that we saw in the workplace, especially in new pipeline installation. The last one is a chemical hazard. This is the most common, also common like ergonomic hazard, which is it was an hazardous substance that can cause harm, which were affected to the worker. The example of the chemicals hazard, it can be harmful to the workers such as explosion, flammable material, pipeline corrosion, and the most harmful hazard in industrial worker, especially in new pipeline installation tasks, is oxidizing hazard. So that's all by me. But I pass to the next presenter. Thank you.
Okay, Assalamualaikum. My name is AFIQAH. Today, I would like to talk about risk metric for installing new pipeline. So, what is risk? Risk means a combination of the likelihood of an occurrence of a hazardous event with specified period or in specified circumstances, and the severity of injury or damage to the health of people, property, environment, or any combination of these caused by the event. So as you can see here, this description of likelihood and severity. Based on the description, we can know the meaning for each rate. So for the likelihood, rating number one known as inconceivable, which means practically impossible and has never occurred. And the last rating is rating number 5, known as most likely, which means the most likely result of the hazard or event being realized. As for severity is started with rating number 1, known as negligible. For example, minor abrasion, bruise, cut, first aid type injury. And the last rating is rating number 5, known as catastrophic. For example, numerous fatalities, irrecoverable property damage, and productivity. So, how can we get the risk value? The answer is likelihood multiplied by severity. So, as you can see here, these pictures show the description for each level of risk, which is a level 1 until 4, known as low, level 5 until 12, known as medium, and lastly, level 15 until 35, known as high. Control. As we know, hazard at the workplace can occur anytime and anywhere, especially if the workplace is not systemically maintained and if the person is careless. They will be exposed to too many hazards such as chemical hazard, physical hazard, ergonomic hazard, biological hazard, and more, which can give effect to the life whether fatal or not. So to minimize the risk of injuries or to remove the hazard itself, Dmosh defines 5 levels of risk control based on hierarchy of control, which is starting with the control perceived to be most effective and move down to those considered less effective. Also, in every stage of the hierarchy of control, they have their own function on how to control the hazard. So as you can see here, this picture show um, from this picture, we can know that every stage are functioning to control the hazard at workplace, whether to physically remove the hazard by elimination control, or replace the hazard by substitution control, or isolate people from the hazard by engineering control, or change the way people work by administration control, or lastly, protect the worker from hazard with personal protective equipment, or known as PPE.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is HAIFAA. Today I'll be presenting the hierarchy table. The first point in the hierarchy table is the work activity. Working in the trench area, the hazard that were exposed to the worker is harmful dust, toxic gases, or chemical at the work site, and the effect of the hazard to the worker is respiratory problems such as inflammation of lung, acute asthma from those who have already gotten the disease. They are non-existing risk control, and in order to get the risk level, we must multiply the likelihood and the severity value, which is 5 multiplied by 4 in order to get 20 value for the risk level. The recommended control measure, there is 2 types, which is administration control. The employer ensure that all the workers are aware about the worksite condition in order to avoid any potential incident among the workers. For the personal protective equipment, the worker must wear safety glasses or safety goggles to protect the eye against a variety of airborne particles and harmful dust, and wearing the mask such as N95 and gloves in order to prevent skin irritation. For the second point in hierarchy table is evacuation. Evacuation the trans pipeline. The hazard is long time exposure to noise, causing a hearing impairment. There are non-existing control measure, and 5 value multiplied by 3 in order to get 15 risk level for the hazard. And the recommendation control measure is elimination control. Eliminate a process that create a loud noise from the work process, such as eliminate the impact between hard object or surface. Also moving the noisy operation away from the work activity or the workers. For the administration control, the employer must ensure all the workers have been trained in handling any kind of machine to prevent hazard. For the personal protective equipment, the worker must wear hearing protection such as earmuff when close to the machine which handle the drilling and excavation process. The third point for the hierarchy table is installation of pipeline. The hazard is repeated movement or awkward body posture causes a back injury, muscle fatigue and pain, and there is non-existing control. The likelihood 5 value will be multiplied by 2 in order to get 10 risk level, and the administration control for this hazard is the employer must make sure that the worker have job rotation to avoid from repeated movement or awkward body posture. They also must improve work scheduling to minimize excessive overtime or shift work which can cause fatigue, and provide worker with training on self-working posture like lifting technique and the safe use of lifting and carrying device. And the last point for the hierarchy table is drilling the ground to create a trench. The hazard is exposure to the bacteria from insect may cause a health issue such as fever or inflammation on skin due to bug bite. They are non-existing control, and in order to get the risk level, we must multiply the 5 value from the likelihood with 1 point from the severity in order to get the value for the risk level, which is 5. And for the control measure is there is 2 administration control that ensure that the preparation of the prevention plan is made available to employees by requiring them to follow the health measures such as furlough and wear suitable PPE while working at the work site. The last control measure is personal protective equipment. The worker must wear suitable clothes to prevent insect bites, such as wearing a long sleeve shirt and pants. The worker must also wear a foot protection such as safety boots. And for the last slide is the conclusion. In conclusion, based on the report, the hazard on the process of the installation new pipeline, we were be able to identify, therefore being classified under the safety and health hazard. However, for each hazard cannot be fully controlled if the implementation of the method used is not appropriate and also not be able to protect worker from any future hazard. Hence, in order to prevent and minimize the risk that has a higher possibility of affecting worker, the implementation of the control measure is known as the best method of practice for the worker in the work site. In other words, the worker in this industry also must comply with instruction, norm, procedure while performing the work process in the work site. So then the risk can be reduced or minimized and be able to ensure the safety of the worker, therefore improve their work performance from times to times. That's all for me. Thank you.